On April 3rd, 2022, Miami police got a disturbing phone call.
If he has a stab wound to his shoulder, he can sit down.
What do you mean he has a stab wound on his shoulder, ma'am?
Yeah, he's bleeding from his shoulder.
When the police came, 27-year-old Christian Toby Obamacelli was bleeding out on his girlfriend's lap with a terrible knife wound to the chest. Pools of blood were found all over the flat, and Toby was barely clinging to life. Only fans and Courtney Klenny had met Toby back in 2020. The couple appeared to be deeply in love, but things were different behind closed doors. The couple was known to have violent fights, and the police were even called multiple times to their flat, but their biggest argument would take place in April of 2022, resulting in Toby bleeding out and begging for his life. Courtney said she had nothing to do with it, but police believed otherwise, so she was taken in for questioning, and a 5-hour interview began.
You don't have to apologize, okay? I completely understand. Alright? Things happen. Okay. And your last name?
Clenny.
Okay. What is your date of birth?
4/21/96.
The detectives inform Courtney that Toby is in the hospital but alive. Detectives are often unaware of how a suspect will react to certain information, so it's often safest to open up.
Speak and whether they are actually listening to her.
What else do you need?
I was told I was going to get a chance to speak.
Go ahead, Courtney. What's going on?
Now's your turn.
Are you going to listen?
We're listening, go ahead.
You say something wrong.
By assuaging any fears the suspect may have and speaking in a non-accusatory manner. This makes the suspect feel more relaxed and more likely to open up. The detectives can see Courtney is in a vulnerable situation, yet they are here to solve a crime. Courtney is being investigated for stabbing Toby, and her only defense so far has been that there was an argument and things got out of hand. If Courtney did indeed do what she's being accused of, being forced to think about her past and future with Toby would really mess with her emotions, making her more vulnerable and hopefully leading to an easy confession.
I feel like I am being
came after her and Paul was walking towards there, and then I just said, you know, enough is enough. Police need to be called. She said she don't want police to be called. But when it's in a common area and something happened like that, my safety is the residents first.
I stayed in my apartment all day. I didn't take my dogs out for like 8 hours because I was afraid that when I came down here I was going to be down. And when I did come down, I walked my dogs, and he was telling me he wouldn't leave me alone. I said, can you please just walk my dogs in peace? We're not together.
Courtney, does he have any property in your apartment?
He has so much. Can I, with respect, can I please? I just feel like I'm not being.
To summarize, Courtney claims that an altercation erupted after the two stopped communicating their phone locations, resulting in his holding her against the floor and her retaliating by hurling a kitchen knife across the room, wounding him in the chest.
Get off of me! You literally talked to her without telling me!
Courtney, I was on a bike ride and she passed me and I said, hi, you and Courtney are having a live chat. My bad, I forgot to tell you that. That doesn't make you to act and call me a You're Yes, thank you. Coming from Courtney, thank you.
Courtney also asserts unequivocally that her action was in self-defense, particularly throwing a knife 10 feet across the room that hit squarely in his chest, forcing him to bleed out and interfering with his life.
Sorry.
Just shut up! Give me my phone! Find it! Charge it!
Sorry.
Just shut up! Give me my phone! Find it! I won!
So what?
Find it!
Can you help me find it?
I won!
So what?
Find it!
The pair was also involved in another incident in Las Vegas less than a year ago when police were summoned to their flat following a loud altercation. As well as glasses crashing on the floor and walls, the flat was in shambles when the cops came, and Courtney's tail was all over the place. Courtney was taken to jail and held for 12 hours overnight, but Toby refused to press charges and pleaded for his release. This may seem insignificant, but the police did conclude that Courtney had attacked him that night by throwing a glass at his head. If nothing else, this proves that Courtney was capable of attacking Toby unprovoked and opens up an entirely new avenue for this investigation.
The water enough? Would you like something else in terms of the soda instead, or something to eat?
meet with you. Actually, you know what?
However, cops were called, and an entire exchange was captured on body cams, providing a stark contrast to Courtney's story.
In my apartment all day. I didn't take my dogs out for like 8 hours because I was afraid that when I came down here, I was going to be down. And when I did come down, I walked my dogs, and he was telling me he wouldn't leave me alone. I said, please just walk my dogs in peace. We're not together.
Courtney, does he have any property in your apartment?
He has so much. Can I, with respect, can I please? I just feel like I'm not being heard.
Courtney is obviously panicked in this footage and appears less concerned about any possible injuries she may have sustained and more concerned about getting a restraining order before Toby can. It's also worth noting that the building's security noticed her pushing Toby out of the lift and screaming at him, and mentioned absolutely no aggression coming from him. As the evidence mounts, it's becoming increasingly likely that Courtney's entire situation is a result of her own actions. But, as is almost always the case in situations like these, everything is still hearsay, and officially debunking her claims will be difficult for the detectives. However, after Lee left her alone for nearly an hour and allowed her to change clothes, they returned to the interrogation room with some more news for her. It's clear from the detectives' reactions that they're fairly convinced what happened was self-defense. In fact, one of them was even talking earlier about how he's sure she'd be allowed home that night and that everything would be fine. So it obviously wasn't difficult for her lawyer to convince them officially that she wasn't guilty, and she was let off without charges. But keep in mind that the detectives weren't aware of any of the evidence mentioned thus far. As time passed, evidence began to mount, and the Obamacelli's case became stronger and stronger. Body cam videos became publicly available, revealing the true nature of her previous arrests. There were also unflattering videos such as this one showing her drunk in public just days after her release. Sure, people make mistakes and drink too much, but when you've seen acting like this in public just days after bawling your eyes out in an interrogation room, you're not painted in the best light. As a result of this and several other reports indicating that Courtney was really the one, she was officially hauled to court by Toby's family. And here is where the last nail in the coffin was given by a medical examiner who had examined Toby's body and reached a judgment. In April 2023, Courtney is currently awaiting what has become one of the most anticipated trials in modern history. She faces life in prison for second-degree murder, and with all of the evidence stacked against her, it's not looking good.